Get in the picture. I am your host, Sharon Hooker, the Style and Body Confidence Coach and the creator and the founder of the Get in the Picture movement. And if you are ready to get into the picture of your life, physically and metaphorically, if you're ready to stop erasing your history, ready to stop playing the waiting game, and you're ready to show up and be seen with style and confidence, then you're in the right place. Let's go. A huge welcome to Anna Geary to Get in the Picture podcast. And I was like trying to do a bio for you, and it was getting longer and longer and longer and longer. You're a woman of absolutely many talents, former All-Ireland medalist with Cork and captain. Was it 4 All-Irelands, is it?
Yeah, 4 with Cork and 3 with Milford. So yeah, at senior level, and then obviously you've got the others that come along underneath that.
Amazing. And then broadcaster now and television presenter with Love in the Country and Ireland's Fittest Family. An author.
I know. That still sounds strange even saying that. I'm like, oh.
It's like, that's me. And I think one of my all-time favorites, and it was all the accomplishments that you've is still, I will never forget your Charleston on Dancing with the Stars. It was the most amazing. Was it Will.i.am Bang Bang?
Yeah. Oh my God, well done you.
Yeah, no, I do. I remember it. It was sensational. So, and a mom of baby Ronan, who's nearly 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're packing it all in.
Trying, just much like anybody else though, we're all still spinning lots of plates, and we're all just trying to keep them all from falling now. Like I don't successfully do that, but I try anyway.
Yeah, I know. I don't think any of us, and I think that's good. You know what I mean? None of us successfully do it, so it's like we're all trying our best. And as I say, some days are better over here, and some days are better over there. So it is, and it's funny to have you on, and I'm so delighted that you have agreed to be on. It was funny because we first met actually doing a photo shoot. So talk about getting into the picture. I styled a photo shoot of yourself. I have it here for anybody that's watching. Yay! You haven't changed a bit. And I remember, I never forget the fear in that, because I was told I had to style the 3 of you. I was starting off in my career. I'd never seen any of you. I wanted to try and pick out something that was ye. So when you got the clothes, all I got was a size, and a size means nothing. So anyway, we pulled it off, and it was a really lovely, it was a really lovely day. Actually, it was really fabulous. But yeah, so it's very fitting that we're speaking about getting into the picture. So I suppose when I say get into the picture, there's getting into the picture physically, and then there's getting into the picture, I suppose, metaphorically in your life, showing up in your life. What does that kind of mean to you when I kind of talk about getting into the picture? What kind of comes up for you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose the first thing when somebody says get in the picture, like without overthinking it, it's, to me, the first thing that popped into my head for whatever reason is take a seat at the table.
Yes,
and what I mean by that is, for all of us, and for anybody listening, there's so many opportunities that are out there in life in all different walks, whether it's sport, whether it is broadcasting, whether it's, going back to college as an adult. And I think sometimes we're so reluctant to, take the seat at the table or get in the picture, be a part of the story, be a part of the narrative, because, whether it's the internal critic is telling us all of the things that might go wrong, whether it's previous experiences are making us really nervous or making us doubt ourselves, or maybe it's a physical and actual person in our ear, maybe telling us we're not good enough, or sure, who are you to be thinking there now that you're good enough to be doing that? And I think, sometimes all of that can stop us. And when I look back and, on my life, and look, I'm almost 37, and I still have a lot of living, hopefully, to do.
Baby.
Yeah, well, I don't know now. The wrinkles around my eyes will be telling a different story. We'll get to that. And I think it's just sometimes saying yes to an opportunity and then figuring out how you're actually going to go about it. That has been something really that's been nearly a pattern for me in my life. You mentioned Dancing with the Stars, you mentioned being a coach in Ireland's Fittest Family, stepping into the world of broadcasting, playing with Cork. Like, it didn't come naturally to me to say yes to all those things. And I really mean that. I was riddled with self-doubt saying yes. I almost said no to Dancing with the Stars because I was thinking, people will think she thinks she's a star because she's on Dancing with the Stars, and she's notions about herself. I come from a small rural village in North Cork. grew up on a dairy farm, we've had a very normal, arguably sheltered life.
Yes.
So to have ever even imagined that I would be in the glitz and glamour world of Dancing with the Stars, like I would never have believed that could have been a possibility. And I remember when the phone call came, it was, I'll have to dance in these tiny costumes. Oh, loads of people will be watching me. What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't get voted for? And it's again, that was all the stuff that came to my head. And then I had to press pause and be like, but hang on, you love dancing. You will get to do it for a number of weeks with a trained world-class professional to wear all these incredible costumes, to dance and learn how to dance, all these different dances, and to share a new experience with a group of people that are in it in the same way as you are. Why wouldn't you say yes?
Yeah.
Because if you don't say yes, somebody else will say yes to that opportunity, and you'll look back and say, why didn't I? Like, if you think about all the things that we've often said yes to, like they mightn't have worked out for different reasons, but saying yes to them means at least you've had a chance to be a part of it. Whereas the minute you say no, you deprive yourself of that opportunity. So my attitude is, whether that's getting in the picture, whether it's taking the seat at the table, it's say yes to it. And at least if you have a think about it and you think, actually, this isn't for me, you have an opportunity to pull back. But the minute you say no, you cut yourself off from that.
Yeah.
And, I think life has just kind of shown me that, it can change in the blink of an eye. So, figure out what you want to say yes to and be unapologetic about it. Just because it mightn't be your best friend or your sister or your mother's idea of something, if you want to do it, it's like, get in the picture, whatever that picture looks like for you.
I love that, Anna. Can I just ask you about Dancing with the Stars? Because I was laughing at you, the stars. I was more worried about. I'd be more worried about the dancing part, and I suppose for realistically, with the judgment that you're opening you're now vulnerably opening yourself up to being criticised about your body shape, about every aspect of you. The dancing, I would think, is probably the least. Worrying part of it. That you're now very vulnerable in the way you've opened yourself up to criticism, and how did you deal with that, or was that a consideration for you?
Yeah, and I think it doesn't matter if you're on Dancing with the Stars or you have a social media presence.
Yeah.
Everybody, the minute you put yourself out there into the public domain, you could be even reading at math, and an opportunity for people to judge and criticize you. So I think it's, universally, we all have to come up with ways to deal with that. And I think with my situation, I actually was really lucky that I had sport to fall back on, because, every single time you go out and play a match, there's spectators, there's a management, there's your teammates, there's the media. They all have an opinion. They'll all make judgments. There'll be criticisms. There'll be learning. There'll be feedback. So sport was a great leveler for me in that I never worried about the criticism that would come from, say, the judges or from that, because that was welcomed feedback. And Rob Heffernan and I, obviously an Olympian, was in the same year as I was in Dancing with the Stars. We used to talk about that. We had a really open-minded way of looking at the feedback that came from the judges, because we saw it as an opportunity to improve. We didn't take it personally. And that was a skill that we had learned from sport, because when there's a manager telling you ways to get better, you could take it personally and be like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that about me. Or you could choose to look at it another way and say, well, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to get better. So I suppose the official criticism I was able to handle. The social media stuff sometimes is a little bit more difficult. And I suppose what I have started to learn, and again, this has taken some time to maybe develop this, and I'm still in the process of learning. Days I'm better at this than others. But it was just something that somebody said to me a few years ago, and it's, if you wouldn't take their advice, why would you worry about their criticism? So if there's somebody online making a comment about me, if this is a person that I don't know, and they don't know me, and they don't know anything about me, and they're, making assumptions about me or making completely unnecessary, nasty comments, I'm like, well, if I wouldn't take advice from this person, why would I worry about what they're saying about me in a negative way? And I think it's a really good way for you to, put a perspective as to who you take your criticism or the feedback from. So I suppose I have a circle of people who I would really respect, and who would, like, I've got straight talkers in there now. They're not people that would all pat me on the back and tell me I'm great. Like, I have people in that circle that will call it to me like it is. And you need that. Like, we need the people that will lift us up and pat us on the back and tell us we're great. But we also need the people that sometimes will tell us what we want to hear, even when we don't want to hear it. They're my people. Like, and when they're giving me the feedback, I'll listen. Everything else, particularly if it's unnecessarily negative, is noise. And how I tend to look at that noise is nearly with, it says a lot about where that person is in their life if they feel the need to be unnecessarily nasty. And then it's like they can't be happy if they're, like deciding to type that level of hate or nastiness. Now, thankfully, and at least this, to the best part of my knowledge, I haven't gotten a whole pile of that over the years on social media. I have a very supportive community online, and I'm really grateful for that, because I know not everybody is that lucky. Now, maybe there is things being said about me, but I'm not aware of that, so that's fine.
And you don't need to, you know what I mean?
No.
There's a level of awareness that you don't
Yeah,
need to
you just have to, don't go looking for it. That's my,
exactly.
that's my way of it. But what I would say to people as well is, when it comes to any form of negativity, unnecessary negativity or criticism too, it is being aware of ways to shut that off. So even during Dancing with the Stars, I made a very conscious decision that, particularly like during the live shows, there would be, we've all seen the threads on Twitter and whatnot of people commenting. So one of my best friends would have gone in, and every Sunday he had my login and my passwords, and he would have almost like filtered out stuff.
Yes.
And if there was anything there that was completely just like really nasty or just spiteful, he just deleted it. Because I didn't need to see that. I have no problem with someone giving constructive criticism, or about, I didn't like the outfit, I didn't think that dance was great compared to last week, or whatever it was. And it's the same with life, whether it's sports punditry, whether it is me as a broadcaster, people are entitled to an opinion. But if it's just going out of your way to be nasty to somebody, I don't need to see that. That's not good for my health. So I just, it was a great thing for me, because some of the other people in my year got a really hard time online, and they took it, to heart. Whereas I was kind of blissfully unaware if there was people out there. Now, he didn't have to delete a whole pile, but there was something sometimes he had to delete. And I was really glad that I made that proactive step to, do you know what? It wasn't just to protect me. It was also to protect the experience, because I really enjoyed it then, because I was kind of unaware of any of that if it was happening.
Yeah, and I think, and I like that stops so many women. Like women, I suppose I work with, a lot of them would be women maybe in business, and they won't do the live because they don't sound. We're so afraid of this judgment and putting our head above the carpet and being judged, that it stops. I think it really does stop us going after things, and and as you say, I love saying yes, and then build it as you fly, figure it out after.
And it's what I would say to people like that in that instance is, fast forward to when you're 70 and think about your life right now as a 70-year-old. Would you, as a 70-year-old, wish you had the body that you had now? You probably would. You wouldn't be worrying. And I'm not talking about necessarily from aesthetic purposes. I'm talking about from the functionality. As a 70-year-old, that maybe it might be a little bit more difficult to get in and out of the car. We'll say 80, because I know of a lot of really active and mobile 70-year-olds. But as an 80-year-old, it might be a little bit harder to get in and out of the car, to maybe carry your own shopping, to lift your suitcase into the overhead compartment on an airplane, to go up and down lots of stairs. When you're 80, you're not thinking about, oh God, remember those bingo wings I had when I was 40? God, you're thinking, my God, I didn't appreciate my body for what it could do. And I suppose that is something that a message I always try to preach to women and to men, because sometimes men are forgotten in this conversation, because women speak so much more openly about their vulnerabilities around their body and their body changing. And sometimes we don't give the credit that men actually feel like this a lot of the time too. But your body is an instrument. It is not an ornament. It is not.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
But it's not designed to be something to be looked at. It is designed to be used and to be challenged and to be powered and to be fueled. And if you use your body as an instrument, you use it. If your body's an ornament, it's static. It's not moving. And I suppose, again, sport really helped me develop that attitude, because, it's about the power in the sport and what I could do and how far I could push myself. Could I get fitter? Could I get stronger? Could I get faster? So it was an instrument. If I was looking at my body as an ornament in sport, I wouldn't have done anything, because let's face it, if you are in an action shot on the pitch, it's not always the most flattering shot of you. Your body is moving. It's in motion. And I think when I was younger, I did, quite honestly, now looking back, struggled sometimes with seeing action shots of me in local or national newspapers, and maybe it wasn't the most flattering shot, and I'm looking at my flaws, and I'm looking at the little bit of wobble on my leg, Whereas what somebody else is looking at is the determination on my face to get the
Yes.
ball, or the excellent catch, or look how high she's jumped off the ground to get that ball. Whereas we all focus on and we nitpick on the small things that nobody else sees because they're looking at the bigger picture.
Yes.
You're looking at the smaller stuff. So sometimes step back, look at the bigger picture. It can actually be a really good lesson for all of us too.
And I love that Anna you said about, because that was one thing I did definitely want to touch on, because I know my own personal experience with sport was not great, because of my poor body image. And it was never about movement. It was never about the teamwork. It was never about that. It was about, I remember, like, the shorts in school and PE. And I mean, it was just a horrific experience. I felt, my thighs were bigger than other people's. I wasn't fit, as fit as them. And I really, it was just the wrong frame of mind about sport, and about sport is for your mental health. It's about teamwork. But do you think that, because there is a huge, and I know that you've done a lot of work around the, the link, kind of, I suppose, the attrition of with girls. I have a 17-year-old here now, and she still plays football. But there's a huge attrition around, that age. And like, I remember somebody saying to me, "Oh, it's when they get interested in boys," and it was a joke. And first of all, I found it offensive. But I said, it's nothing to do with boys. It's actually about your own body and how, we're different. There's somebody's, that's, 5'5" on the pitch, there's 5'7", they're size 8, they're size 10, there's somebody size 14, and there. So do you think that kind of plays a part in the kind of the, I suppose, attrition of women in sport?
It can, like when I did the documentary a few years ago on why girls quit sport, like certainly the gear was a challenge. Like it was one of the first questions that they asked when we were saying what sports we're going to do, what do we have to wear? Because that is the reality. And again, this is younger boys and girls and adults, because now you look at sport and everything is tight fitting. And like even, the jerseys for men, it's all about the arms and it's all about the skin tight, which might suit a certain portion of people, but the vast majority aren't comfortable in that kind of gear. So I do think we do need to reassess the parameters around sport. And if we are really serious about keeping people involved in sport, we need to certainly look at what the barriers are. Because I think sometimes sport is, and I say this having, achieved All-Ireland success as a Cork captain, that level of sport is small percentage stuff.
Yeah.
We need to be looking at, and we forget that the bigger picture, and going back to that word all the time, is actually the majority. And the majority of people just want to play sport as a pastime with their friends, to keep fit and healthy, to maybe challenge themselves, but not necessarily to go to the Olympics or to be on a county team, that they want to hit a certain level. And I suppose we really then need to be creating an environment where we're not losing sight of that. Because sometimes the world of sport now, it becomes so serious and it becomes all about winning, that the environment that's created isn't fun. And I think that actually superseded the body image when I did that documentary. It was, if you create an environment that's fun, where people don't feel intimidated, where they don't feel afraid to make mistakes, where they don't feel they're going to be called out or shamed or made, maybe body shamed or made feel insecure, that's the kind of environment that's a winning formula. And I think anybody here listening, whether you're a parent or a teacher or a coach that's involved in sport, if you can create that type of an environment, when we're looking at retention levels, you are so much more likely to get, if you've 20 people in 2024 walking through the gates or into the arena, whatever the sport is, you're far more likely to get that same group of people walking back in 12 months later if they're enjoying what they're doing. And that really is the responsibility of coaches. It's the environment that you create. And we need to redefine what success looks like in the world of sport. And that, to me, is retention.
Yeah.
So we need to be praising the coaches that keep that group together, not necessarily the coaches that are bringing home the trophy. Because if you bring home the trophy this year with 24 players and next year you've only 15 coming in the door, well then, what have you done so that 9 of those players have left? Whereas we often don't reward or acknowledge the coaches that are excellent at what they do in keeping people in sport. They mightn't be bringing home the trophies all the time, but they're just as important to our games and to our clubs. And I think we need to start realizing that, because when I look back at, as a teenager, for me as a girl, like now I realize, okay, the All-Ireland, it was great, but that's not what I'm grateful to sport for. Number one, I'm grateful for the friendships. Like you showed up the picture I mean, Joanne a bridge, Joanne and I would have played camogie together for over a decade. But
Yeah.
Joanne in that picture was my maid of honor at my wedding. Like she's one of my best friends. And you know, like the connections that you make from sport are incredible. Like this week now, this Friday, we have a 10-year reunion above in Croke Park of the All-Ireland winning team 2014. And so many of us are going to be back there and we're going to be
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
and it's amazing. It's just, and life has moved on. We've all in different stages of life now too. We've all different life experiences, but to be able to share that, like when you play sport with teams, it doesn't matter if you're the best player in the pitch or you're hanging on by a thread in the subs, you're there and you're a participant and your place matters. Like, and that's what
Yeah.
sport's about. It's about that sense of belonging. And if you're not feeling that, you're not in the right sport or you're not in the right team. And I always say that to people, you should feel that sense of belonging because it can give you that, and it can give you a sense of confidence and belief in yourself. Because when you're going for a ball, you have to back yourself. And when you
Yes.
kind of learn that skill, it can translate into other avenues or aspects of your life. So I think because I learned to back myself on the pitch in sport, then that kind of gave me that belief in myself to take on challenges like Dancing with the Stars or Ireland's
Mhm. Mhm.
or live TV. And confidence is something that you can learn. Like I'm not a naturally confident person, and a lot of people go, "Oh, you always come across so confident." Like I'm not. Like I have massive insecurities. I have massive bouts of self-doubt. I was as a child, I was always really afraid and nervous to make mistakes or to let people down. I'm a
Mhm.
quintessential people pleaser. I have an
Yep.
excessive need to
Reach
say
your
yes.
sister.
Yeah, but yet, I still know that confidence is a skill. And it's
Yeah.
one of the things that became a main focus in the book that I wrote earlier on this year. It was about teaching people that you can learn to be more confident in yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing. And if you're more confident in yourself, it definitely spills over into body image and how you see yourself too.
Yes. And like for me as well, it's having body as one part, like one part. It's like, it's one part, it's not the totality. You know what I mean? Or even I just kind of watch when we comment on women playing sport, you're kind of going, oh, somebody might say, oh, hasn't she grand thighs? You're kind of going, like, is that what you see? And that's on them, because if that's what they see, I see a woman that's, you know what I mean, that's been training every night of the week, that's at the top of her, that's what I see. And it's to retrain ourselves, I think, to because it is, look, it's not, it's generational. You know what I mean? It's societal as well. And
Yeah,
I think it's to catch yourselves, because to catch yourselves and to retrain and to reframe how we see. I say, and I will remember that always. The instrument and
on an
the,
ornament. Yeah.
yeah, ornament,
And
because
it's
that's
and look, I recite that to myself a lot, particularly in the last 12 months. Now that I've had a baby, my body has changed. My fitness levels are different. My shape is different. I'm definitely not the same size as I was 12 months ago. I might never be the size that I was pre-pregnancy. I might never, like when people, fitting back into your clothes. Like I made a very conscious decision after when Rona was a few months old that I bought a good few pieces for my wardrobe. And I did that because I didn't want to be feeling the pressure to be looking at the other clothes because I might
yes,
never get back into them.
yeah,
Like I might never feel as comfortable or as confident because I like the reality is I'm a different person now. You're like,
yes,
I'm
yeah,
not better or worse. I'm just different. So
yeah,
your style evolves as well. You know that. Like,
yeah.
definitely when I'm around with Rona now, I have to be functional, even, maybe the materials that I wear or the colors might have to differ. Like even now, like I have a red jacket on, but I have a black dress because stains
The hands,
and milk and hands and
yeah.
all that. You do think differently, and it's about comfort when you're running around after them, and you can still be stylish, but
Mhm.
I just think sometimes, it really is a bugbear of mine, this bounce back
Oh yeah,
mentality
yeah,
that is
yeah.
out there in society. But I've had people say to me, particularly older generations, and they don't mean anything by it, and they don't understand what they're actually saying. But it's
The
like,
lamb, yeah.
just look at you now, you bounce back so quickly.
I know, I know.
And what does that even mean? Because you go back, you can never go back. Like when you become
No,
a new mom or a new parent, you're never going back. So I don't want to bounce back. And I just think it's another pressure that people have to deal with in
mhm.
the midst of your body trying to heal, you trying to adjust to life as a parent and the responsibility and the sleep deprivation and yet now you're feeling this pressure. And I do think as women, we put it on ourselves too. We can say the wider society, we could say wider media, but we do. And the thing is, if we're all honest, there is a part of us that, somehow being skinny or being thin or, being smaller than what you were last year is some sort of status in our brains. It's social currency.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously that does come from the wider society. But I just think we, you know, and I know this now, even having Ronan, and I'm sure anyone that has kids or anyone that has siblings or younger siblings, or, you know, people in their life that are younger than them, and they're probably in a position of influence. You always want them to believe and to feel that they're good enough, no matter what shape or size they are. And you want them to do anything. But we don't take our own advice.
I know.
Our kids, or we'll tell our younger brothers and sisters, you can do anything you want to be, and you're gorgeous and you're great, and you've got the, but we'll stand in front of a mirror and rip ourselves apart then. And they see that. So I'm trying to explain sometimes to parents, you can't tell that to your kids about being what you are, and you're gorgeous and you're special and you're unique and you're great. But then they'll watch you stand in front of a mirror and pick out everything you hate about yourself. Like, you know, it's actions speak louder than words. So we have to kind of nearly practice what we preach to. And that is the most difficult thing in the world to do, you know, not especially when you're not in a great headspace. But the more you consciously make the effort to change the narrative, change how you speak to yourself, change the words that you use, slowly but surely, you will develop a better like image of yourself. And that's it's a thing that I actively have to work on now more than ever, particularly as well. I noticed it too when I retired from Cork. And obviously I wasn't training at the same level. You know, I wasn't as intense. I wasn't as committed to that. And definitely, again, I saw changes in me performance-wise as much as body. And I also had to adjust to that too, you know. And like it's just about acknowledging it. I think when the awareness piece comes, that's key.
Yeah, I do. I think it's because I would even, with all the work that I've done around it, like, and I still would even catch myself, and you're kind of going, yeah, but it's not issues of up it's like, yeah, but it's like, what am I going to make that mean? What am I willing to make that mean? What am I willing to let, you know, stop myself from doing? And I'm not willing to let myself, you know, stop myself from doing things anymore. I did it for decades, and maybe it's I've turned 50 this year. And maybe it's liberating. I don't know, maybe it's just kind of liberating. And you're kind of going, and I have a daughter that's 17 as well. So I'm very conscious of that. But before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, is there any photograph, or is there any kind of photographs or memories that, you know, that you physically have a photograph that you kind of, that you treasure?
Well, I suppose, well, two things. Like you mentioned Dancing with the Stars earlier on, and I think that was a really significant period of maybe of a perception shift for me about maybe how I saw myself. Because when I went into it, I was very conscious of my muscles. Like I was just, you know, I had trained hard because I knew I was going to be on Dancing with the Stars. Like, and you want to feel your best, you're in really skimpy costumes. So like, and it was just off the back of Christmas. So I was like, oh. And I remember in week 2, they had told me Christmas week that I was going to be wearing a crop top and tiny skirt. And I was like, okay, okay, fair enough. Like I wouldn't even wear like a crop top in the gym. And now you're telling me I'm going to be wearing little bralette. But you know, I think what I had to adjust, and people were really supportive, and they helped me adjust my mindset. So I looked different to a lot of the other women that were on Dancing with the Stars that year, that lineup. I was far more muscular and athletic, looking bigger and stronger. And I was conscious of that, like I was. And you know, it was only when I used to get messages from people about it and about how, oh my God, you're so powerful and you look great. And there was one woman, I remember, it was very early on. I think it was actually after my very first week performing live in the show. And a woman said to me that she was like, you have no idea the impact that you've just made on my daughter. She was like, she gave up rowing because everyone told her she was going to get big and bulky and have big shoulders. And she believed them. And then she saw you dancing. She's like, oh my God, ma'am, she looks amazing. She was like, oh, well, like, do you like her muscles? Oh, yeah, she looks fabulous. And she was like, and because of you, she's gone back rowing now.
Oh, my God, like that's actually,
She said, yeah, I got so emotional. She was like, you don't realize that she saw something different, I think, you know, that she saw, oh my God, that's, it's powerful, but it's attractive, and it's still beauty, you know, and like, and she's strong and she's an athlete, but it doesn't take away from who she is as a person. So I think that for me was like, yeah. And maybe it is important to see, because, you know, we always hear that if you can't see it, you can't be it.
Yes.
So that nearly became my purpose, I think, of that show then, because I was like, okay, I am a sports person and I've worked damn hard to get the body I have. And I might look different, but again, I'm no better or worse to the girl that has legs up to here and is 5'11", or Maya Dunphy, who was beautiful, but she's a fraction of my size.
Yeah.
And we all look different, but it's all different forms of a woman's body to be celebrated. And and I think that really helped me in lots of ways. Once I got over the body insecurities and when they'd come out with the little outfit, and you're like, I'm sorry, you want me to wear what?
I know.
But it's really, so I suppose those pictures, when I look back now and I look at the muscle in my body, I kind of want to, I want to have a bit of a word. I kind of want to smack myself, to be honest, a small bit, because at the time I remember some of those photos feeling really body insecure and wondering. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, you're in incredible shape. And how many women say that when they look back at pictures of themselves when they were 20 and they called themselves fat at the time?
Yeah.
Or, they weren't happy. And yet now, 30 years on, you're going, oh my God, I didn't know how lucky I was.
I know. And it's such a waste of.
Yeah, but it's like rather than appreciate it in hindsight, we all need to kind of take the responsibility to appreciate it in the here and now. Nobody cares really about what you look like because they're too busy worrying about what they look like themselves. Like that's the thing. We're all so conscious of stripping off, for the beach all day. We're panicked and we're like, oh God, and we're covering ourselves over with caftans and all these things.
And the Irish and the towels.
Nobody cares. Like you're sitting at the pool or the beach, and whether you've got wobbles or you look great, no one's really focusing. They might look for a moment and go, oh yeah, and then they're too busy worrying about themselves or worrying about something else. So it is liberating, I think, to start looking at it like that. And the last bit of advice I would give to anybody here before I mention my last picture is, we have to stop treating exercise as a form of punishment.
Yes.
We equate exercise with weight loss. Exercise is so much more than weight loss. Weight loss is so far down the list. Number one, it's for mental health. It's for socializing. It's for our cardiovascular health, like our actual ability to stay alive.
Yeah.
It is for our hormonal systems to keep ourselves balanced. It's for our bones. It's for our skin to allow ourselves to perspire and to keep everything moving, for our blood flow. Like all of those things are fundamentally important for our functioning as a human being. And then kind of down the line is weight loss. But we kind of use it as a form of punishment, or if we need to lose weight, it's like, oh, we dread it. So what I say, exercise, it's not, I've got to. It's, I get to.
Yeah.
Because how many people do we know for one reason or another can't exercise? Maybe they're sick or they're injured or they have a disability. It's a privilege. And we need to start looking at exercise as something that is so important for us. And again, it's important for our health in all aspects. And you'll actually enjoy it a lot more. If you don't enjoy the exercise you're doing the wrong exercise.
Yeah.
For me, it was dancing. I love boxing. I love going down and boxing. Like I never get into the ring, compete, but I love hitting a bag. Nothing beats the rest of a day more than banging off a bag with a pair of gloves. I tell you, 30 seconds, it's gone out of you. It's absolutely. So I would say that. But just to circle back and to end the picture for me, I think that one of the pictures holds the most significance because of it is the picture of me actually with Ronan. He was only a few days old and the Camogie All-Ireland final was on. And at the start of it, they kind of did a rerun of previous Cork captains. So I'm sitting there, he's a few days old and I'm watching the telly, and suddenly I come on the telly and he's looking at me and I'm like, this is a real experience.
Wow.
I'm Cork captain there. I'm now a new mum, very different roles, very different life. And yet I'm going, oh my God, and Kev captured it on video. I had no idea he was even videoing me. And it was brilliant because around the time that he was born and for the months afterwards, I was always really conscious about getting in pictures. Oh, I look like crap and I look tired and I have no makeup on. I haven't washed my hair in 5 days. And, I'm sick in my jumper, whatever it was. And I'm wearing baggy clothes, whatever. And when I started to look back through my phone book when he was a few months old, or my photo album, I realized I've taken so many pictures and videos of Ronan with Kev, my mom, or with someone else. And I have so few pictures or videos of me with him because I was going, oh no, I won't get into the picture. Oh God, I look a state. And I'll take the picture. And I started to realize in years to come, he's not going to care about what I look like. I'm not going to care what I look like. But if I don't have those pictures now, they're missed opportunities. They're missed memories. And when I look back, two pictures that I have with my dad, they're so precious now because he's not here anymore. And I'm not looking at it going, God, he had a desperate haircut in that photo. He really should have changed his shirt from the farm before he took that photo. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking, I remember that day. I remember the day he bought me the bike. I remember the day at the beach. So, we have to remove the emphasis on the aesthetic and start focusing on the people in the photo, the moment that you want to capture. And who cares if you don't look your best? If anything, I just say now I appreciate it so much more when I do feel good and look good. Because I'm like, see, I'm not always that person all the time sticking my jumper. And I think it's a really valuable lesson for us all, and all of us can get better at it, and all of us can. And I would say to people, even now that I might be listening, if you know somebody that's a new mom, a new parent, but particularly a new mother, take videos and pictures of them when they're not watching. Those candid shots, those kind of with their babies, because I promise you, they'll love you forever for it if you get to send them to them. Because they'll be like, oh my God, it's beautiful. Whereas if you ask them, could you take a photo? They'd be like, no. And it's something that friends of mine have done. It was so lovely when they'd send them to me, like, I didn't know you took that picture. And it's lovely. Like, it's really, because you're looking at, you're looking at the baby, or you're not posing for a photo. Nobody likes posing photos anyway.
No. It's always orchestrated. And,
like we very rarely look our best when we're like there with our teapot hand and we're like, look natural, and we're anything but natural. So just forget the double chins and forget the like when your eyes half open or closed, or you're not looking at yours. That doesn't matter, because I promise in years to come there will come a time where either you or some other significant person in your life will be so glad that you got in that photo.
Oh, and on that note, I couldn't have ended it on a better note. Thank you so much, Anna, for taking the time to speak to me. And I'm just going to listen. I can't wait to listen to this back myself again, because I've taken notes of, and again, it's just, always just surrounding yourself with, I suppose, the people that kind of, again, as you said, not sugarcoating it or not, but it's just tapping into that and listening back to those things again, those nuggets, because we do need to be reminded of them. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing your photograph on the 19th of August for the Getting the Picture campaign.
Hopefully.
And I just let everybody know just where we can, I know your book is out. So just let people know where they can.
I'll give you my shameless plug, because I actually found
shamelessly plug it. We're all about it. Love it.
And it should be like that. Any of the stuff that we've talked about today is in that, because when I finally decided to sit down and write this, even though it was about 10 years swirling around in my head, I wanted it to be practical, and I wanted it to be easy digestible. I wanted it to be something that people could dip in and out of and not feel overwhelmed, that it was easy to understand. I put a lot of personal stories in here, stories that I've kind of never shared before, because people find it much easier to relate to something. So it's really refreshing then when people come up to me and say, oh my God, like your book made me think differently about X, Y, Z. I'm like, that's what it is. It's just to help you along your way to navigate through everything that life can throw at us. And obviously for anyone that's on social media, I know we give it a bad rap, but it is positive, and it's good to connect people as well. It's just Anna Geary is the name of my page, and I'll often put up things and like that. Yesterday I put up a reel about defining energy trains and energy drains in your life.
Oh, I love that. I love your Instagram page. I love your I love the way you're doing things. I love the way you're doing. It's just like a chat. I love that.
Well, I try. Some days it comes off, other days it doesn't.
Yeah, well, that's good. And the more we kind of I listened to Sarah Blakely and Spanks. Her dad used to say to her every day, "How did you fail today?" And I think that's actually just so important, because we're so afraid to fail and what it'll mean. But actually, if we just kind of went, if we remove that kind of, give it a lash and try it, and if it doesn't work.
What I always say about failing is, even the word fail, FAIL, it's first attempt in learning. Yes. So if you're not failing, it means you're not learning. And that means you're not, like, if you're not failing, you're not trying. Because if any of us, if we're trying new things, it's inevitable that we're going to fail. But failing isn't a weakness. It's actually a really important step towards succeeding. So kind of what I would be saying to people is, fail loads, and you're on the right road if you're failing, to be honest.
Yeah, and that stops people from getting into pictures as in physically and metaphorically as well in their lives, because afraid to fail. So we've kind of come around full circle. So thank you so much, Anna. It's been
lovely chatting with you, Sharon, and great. I love what you're doing with this. So continued success.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to Get in the Picture with Sharon Hubbard. I would love if you could rate and review the show, and please share with all the amazing women in your life who could do with getting into the picture of their life, knowing that they are enough as they are, perfectly imperfect. For more information on the Get in the Picture movement, make sure you're following me on Facebook, Sharon Hubbard, and Instagram, Sharon Hubbard_. Tune in next week. Chat soon. Bye.